Hello, everyone viewing from all around the world. My name is Hussein Makki, and I would like to personally welcome you to another session at the Happiness Summit by Food for Thought, where our panels will be discussing how to boost our happiness and well being in various areas of life. And for this session, we have a very interesting topic, which is habits. We all have a lot of habits in our lives, and they can be something that boosts our life to the positive or to the better, or sometimes to something we don't want, which is let's not just talk about it. To talk us more about this critical subject, we have very two special guests, and they're very inspiring. I've been inspired by them even before meeting them. I would like to welcome Rania Sultan and Ralu Nilster. Thank you so much, guys, for being here, and welcome to the panel.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
And I would like to start with Ralu. If you can please just briefly introduce yourself, tell us what drew you in general to positive psychology, and also how does positive psychology relate to your field or where you work at the moment?
Yes, thank you. So I'm Ralu Nistor-Lustermans. I'm running a business consultancy and coaching small business. As a background, I actually worked in corporate for 17 years in risk management, internal control, and various other things linked to how do we do business in a more effective way. So while I was going my way through corporate life, I came across organizational culture and how people are at their best. How do we create identity for individuals, for organizations, but also how do we include them? So long story short, I became very passionate about how do we take the best out of ourselves, not only in our private life, but also in our professional life. Actually, my interest to positive psychology came after a trip to India, where all the people around me were just smiling. So I live in Europe, I am an European, and I came back to Europe after that, and they seemed to be miserable, and they seemed to have far more than the people in India were having. And I was like, why are they, all smiling and they looked happy, and we seem to be so miserable in here? I started looking into, what makes people happier, what gives more meaning to life, and I came across positive psychology. And the way it links to my career now, I am using it to help individuals really be who they are in their private and professional life.
No, that's amazing, and that's a very amazing cause because I've been interacted with such different, how do you say, different cultures, and I've seen how habits within those cultures affect even your performance at work. So amazing. And moving to Rania, was it also a trip to India, or how did it all start for you?
I wish I go to India, but no, not yet. So I'm a digital marketer, and what I do is I help small entrepreneurs to set up their business and start their business. So this is what I'm doing. And actually, I was working as a self-employed, and just lately I incorporated my company, RS, short for Rania Sultan for digital marketing. So I just started the company in officially. So when I was helping my clients, I found that it's not only about business and setting up the business. There is something beyond that, like self-confidence. Sometimes relationship problems affect the business, decision making, bad habits, and when they change the bad habits, the business flourish and thrive. So that's how I try to put coaching, positive psychology with setting up the business and growing the business and digital marketing. How it started with me, one day I was talking to a friend of mine. She's a coach, and I was ranting. She's just a friend. It wasn't a session or anything. And I was ranting about like work-life balance. I do a lot of stuff like taking care of the kids and preparing dinner, and you have a lot on your list for business. And then she told me about the PERMA model, one model that we use on positive psychology. And she told me, look at what you're doing when you prepare dinner. You're bringing kids together, you're bringing the family, you're creating memories. And all of a sudden this mind tweak in mindset, it changed everything for me. So instead of complaining about preparing dinner, now I see that it's a big value I'm doing for my company, my family. And I said, you know what are you talking about? She told me this is positive psychology. And I said, I have to study this. This is, so I started studying and then I applied everything I know with my clients and in my life.
Wow, thank you so much. And I really love the fact that you can actually, and this is probably one of the topics we're going to speak about today, is that habits and positivity in life is not just about how you approach work, it's about how you approach life in general.
Mhm.
And that's quite interesting. Thank you so much for sharing this. And this will take us to another interesting question. And I want to personally know more about it. We have a lot of habits in life. We have a lot of things that we can call habits, but how can we differentiate a good habit from a bad one? If Ralu can maybe tell us more about that.
Yes, I think it is really a very interesting question because
Mhm.
I do sometimes ask myself, is what I'm doing good or bad?
Yes,
And we
definitely.
tend to categorize things in good or bad, binary a little bit. Maybe it is neither good, neither bad. I don't know. But for habits, I think it is good for us to think about, does that habit serve us well or doesn't serve us well? And when I look to my habits or when I help my clients to identify, is that a good or a bad habit? I always ask the question, how does it serve you? Does it bring you closer to where you want to be or to what you want to do? And if the question is no, then no, maybe it is not a good habit for you. I can't decide myself if it is a good habit or not, because what is good for me might not be good for you, and the other way around. So it is very personal, it is very different. Um, what I apply it is really questioning. How does it bring me to where I want to be? If I'm in point E and I want to be in point B, does what I'm doing now serve me well to move forward? And if the
Mhm.
question it is no, then probably it is not a good habit for you at that point in time. Maybe later on it can change because the context changes or not. And if it is neutral, that's an interesting thing because I had a client once saying, it is neither good, neither bad, I'm just doing it. And then the question is, what's the value of doing that? Could you do something better if not? Something that, really helps you better.
So just to make sure I got this, because it's a very, very interesting thing. It's not about the habit itself. It's about how I put the habit in perspective. It can be good for now, but in other situations, it may not work for me. It depends on the situation, not just the thing I'm doing.
I think in how I see it, it is true because I don't see it really white and black, the life. I think it is context dependent. I lived in 6 countries until now, and every time I moved, Rania asked me previously when we met a very interesting question: how did you keep habits every time you move? Because you do need to restart. It is not easy. We'll arrive maybe to discuss on how do we change habits. Uh, Things that I was doing maybe when I was living, I don't know, in Italy or in France were definitely not suitable for me anymore when I was living in the UK. And certainly a good habit from them from that time was not a good habit in a new context. So,
Wow.
and it
Yeah.
links very well to what Rania was saying earlier about the story in your mind. What do you tell yourself? We tend to do things that we've done before because they were good for us. But the context changed, we changed, and those things
Mhm.
are probably not good for us anymore. So, questioning our stories and why we do what we do will help us make the difference between does it serve us well at the moment or maybe
Mhm.
not so well.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Rania, do you think there are other factors that maybe can help us differentiate a good habit from a bad one, or the context itself?
I totally agree with Rolu.
Mhm.
Good or bad are not in the absolute. I mean, it depends, very individual, and it depends on the context, even though, and depends on your life. So yes, good or bad is depends on, is it serving you or is not serving you. But I want to build on that. habits are not only physical habits. There are sometimes emotional habits, thinking habits, and I didn't know about that until I know about positive psychology. I studied that, and changing physical habits are easy because I want to stop eating or drinking soda. Now I want to replace it with water. Easy. But when it comes to thinking habits and emotional habits, it needs a lot of conscious effort from your side. It needs to catch the thought and know how it affects your actions and how your emotions. So it's all about knowing yourself. It's all about self-awareness, and this is what I like about habits. You go inside and you dig deep, and you know about yourself and what works for you, what are your dreams, and how can I make everything in my habits and in my daily runnings serve the purpose and serve my passion. So yes, you differentiate by knowing what serves you and what not serving you.
Okay. This takes me to a point I've always been thinking of. And actually, I have some people at my work who ask me this before. They always tell me I know where I want to head to or where I want to go in life. But the problem is, I don't know how to change the habits that I'm doing now to another habit that might maybe affect me positively, or if I change this, it will help. From a personal level or from your own point of view, what are your recommended positive psychology tools that can help people change habits, or at least understand how to change from one habit to another? Maybe Ralu would like to start.
Yes, thank you. It's again another fascinating question, because it is not enough to know, it is not enough to study and to understand the tools. The real difficulty starts in how do we apply them? How do we start when we need to start? That is probably the thing that I found hardest. I knew a lot of things, but then how do I actually start changing? So in terms of theory, maybe it is worth a little bit to throw or to share, a couple of things. Habits, we talk a lot about habits loop. We talk about what is a habit loop. Is a trigger of that habit, is the routine of doing it, and the reward. And I will bring it to life with a short example. Let me share something. What can I do? Oh, my morning routine, for example. One of the things I practiced after I also studied the positive psychology training was, okay, I wanted to wake up in the morning with a smile, right? So my trigger was opening my eyes. And once I was opening my eyes in the morning, I didn't link it, to my phone or to anything else, just opening my eyes. I'm lucky enough to be able to open my eyes. So I'm healthy, my eyes are working. I opened my eyes and I smiled. The trick was opening the eyes. The routine was smiling. The reward was I was feeling good immediately. Now, I've done that for a while. And then I lost the habit because, we do something and then we think we have it there and things are happening. And then, you lose it. And then you feel bad about it. And you say, oh, I should have done it. And I should have worked better and I don't feel good enough. So another thing I learned through the journey was to stop beating myself and judging myself. It links into what Rania said earlier is we have physical habits, but we have thinking habits and emotional habits. So when we do something or we don't do something, a thought kicks in with an emotional link and an emotion, or the emotion sometimes kicks in first and then the thought. And then in this situation, I was feeling bad about it. And reflecting on it, I thought, okay, that really doesn't serve me well. One, I don't do the habit. Second, I beat myself. It is even worse. I don't have a reward, but I have guilt. So how am I going to get out of it? Because I'm going in a hole in here. And actually, I want to go high instead of going down. And then I realized it is important sometimes to do things small. So if I didn't do it, constantly, and I didn't need to beat myself. I needed to go back to the routine. And I see now the secret of changing habits. It is not to think about the big change you need to do, but to think about the one small thing, the tiny version of whatever habit you want to have that you start with, and you do it not for the extent you want to do it, but you do it for 10%. So
Mhm.
your effort, it is not so big that puts you off. You have the ability to do it, and you just do it. And with this, you create the time and the space in your mind and in your physical time to do that action, and then you can grow it. So
Mhm.
start small, I would say, when you want to change something, once you realize the change you want to do.
So it's more like, how do you say it? Look at the bigger picture and aim for it in your head, but don't forget of the small steps, or don't forget about the mini steps that will help you get there.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
celebrate them. Don't beat yourself when you don't do it all.
Yes, I think that
That's
that's my
right.
at some point in life was my problem when I was learning marketing. I used to whenever I achieve something or when I put a habit and it becomes something that is constant in life, I don't even celebrate. I was like, okay, what's next? Without even looking that I did something positive. So at some point, as you just said, it feels that there is no sense of achievement. You're just doing things, and maybe that will hinder my performance or how I reach things in the future. And I also believe maybe Rania can relate to that a little bit or help me with that a little bit since you started your own business. And I'm sure it's very challenging and it requires a lot of positive psychology tools or habits that you can acquire. So maybe you can help me and everyone in the session and the panel to give us your insights.
Okay, I'll tell you what I do. Actually, what I learned, number one, is the belief that I can change a habit. When you change your mindset and you know that you can do it, um, things will come. But it's just the belief that I can do that.
Mhm.
When I started digital marketing, people told me that one day you will own a company. I was like, never, this will never happen. But by time as I started to have clients and build my base, I believed in myself. I believed that this can happen until it really manifested and it happened. So changing a habit like eating healthy or becoming, smile in the morning, you have to believe, number one, belief that you can do it, because everyone did it, I can do it too.
Mhm.
So that's number one. Number two is consistency. Habits build over time, at least 21 days to 30 days in order for a habit to become a habit. Because of the neuroplasticity, our brain, when you do things over and over again, then there is a path that is created in your mind that tells your your system that this is a habit and you keep doing it. So consistency is a big thing. So I do it today, tomorrow, every day, day in, day out, until it became a habit. I do not think about it anymore. It's just my body's just doing it, or my brain is
Mhm.
just doing it. So consistency, number two. And number three for me is the 20-second rule. It's a very simple rule that if you want to change something, start with a little, just take one small step, and then this step will lead to the other step, and then the next step. So for example, when I started running, I want to run all my life. I'm not a good runner, but I want one day to run a marathon, and this is in the back of my, this is on my bucket list, but I have to start at some point. So I joined this running club and they go run, and I just joined. I paid the fees and I'm not doing it. Until one time I learned about the 20-second rule. I bought a good running shoes and I put it next to the door. So when I
Mhm.
woke up in the morning, I just put my feet in the in the shoes and I go run. So 20-second rule, it just, you tweak something that is very close to you. One of my friend also told me that before she goes to bed, she wears her running pants. So when she wakes up in the morning, she just have to put the shirt on and go run. So these little tweaks make a huge difference.
Mhm.
If you allow me another example, someone
Sure.
used to, one of my friends, she used to drink Coke. And as bad as it is, it's in her habit. She just drinks Coke instead of water. So what she does, she put water in the fridge in the front, and put the Coke and all the like sugary drinks in the back. So when she opens the door, she just sees water and she grabs it. So but just by changing the position of the thing that she wants to do, that was good enough to make her First, drink water, fill her stomach with water, and then she doesn't have enough room to drink soda or drink juice. So the 20-second rule worked for me, worked for my friends, and I think if you guys try it, it will really work on with you.
I will definitely try it out myself. I'm sure about that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rania. And maybe we move to something within the same topic, but maybe a lot of people are having problems with that. So, which is habits in the workplace, where we work. We always have problems at work. We are not performing well. I arrive to my work late enough to maybe miss out maybe 10, 15, 30 minutes of my job, which hinders my achievements. So maybe you can guys share with us some examples of positive habits that can actually help us at the workplace, that can help us maybe do better at work. I'm sure I myself want to know about those habits. So Ralu, can you share please with us maybe your top positive habits at the workplace?
Yes. Again, I think for me, habits depend on each person, but
Mhm.
I can share mine, or at least what I see around and what I use as well. Um, Work for me at the moment, it changed in the last 2 years. So I moved from working into the office in corporate, like probably many of us, to work from home. So
Mhm.
all my habits from the corporate life, I had to reshape into what was good for me when working from home. And I do go out and I work with clients, I run workshops for team building, but I do a lot from home, far more from before. So when I was going to the office in London, I used to wake up in the morning and prepare my day. A bit like Rania was saying earlier, I had a morning routine that was preparing me for um, the success of the day, what I was calling the success of the
Mm.
day. Where I was waking up and having my coffee, preparing the breakfast for the children. I was already, I was not checking my phone, by the way. So I had a rule not picking up the phone immediately in the morning, but to go for, I don't know, my morning routine, coffee, shower, makeup, whatever, and no phone. Just thinking about what did I want to achieve of that day without any external input. It was me and my day and my thoughts. What did I want to get out of the day? And for me was always on a positive setting, even if I knew my day would be very, difficult, or I had difficult clients to meet or difficult conversations to have. For me was I needed to take something positive out of the day. So that was part of me starting with a positive mindset. We go back to
Mhm.
that, thoughts of, okay, how do you set up
Yeah.
for your day, for your success? And of course, something can happen home or something can happen at work that will, unbalance you, will ruin a bit. Once you had the opportunity to give yourself the space to what do you want to achieve, if you go back to that thought, I found it easier to get out of a negative spiral that might happen during the day because you already set up a positive outcome. So you anchored
Mm.
something which you
Yeah.
can,
Mhm.
come back to. So that was for me one habit that was helping me. The second one was walk. I was walking as much as I could and it was serving me two purposes. One was the physical purpose, and then was while walking, I had a possibility to let go. That let go could have been walking from home to the train station. I could let go of my morning madness with
Mm.
two, three children. So that was a lot to take in. So walking was like, now that it is my transition time to the work life, then walking back from the office was the same process. I could let go of my professional stress before I enter into the family life. Now with working from home, what we come across, and it is not only me, I had that conversation and I was reading a number of articles, people miss that transition. So that habit of being able to let go and to transition from want to be. Once you open the door from your home office, and maybe sometimes it's not even a door, it is your dining table, and you go into the family life, you missed the opportunity and a positive habit, I would say, to transition from professional to personal. And what I found it helps me is getting out of the house. If I don't have the time, do a round around the house and come back from the door. As short as 2 minutes still gives me the time to, take a deep breath in and transition. Ideally, I would go out for half an hour run or something, but it doesn't always happen. So the other habit that helps me is my food. Big topic. We live in a world where we learn more about it, as well as you learn with positive psychology, but we learn more about the impact of food on our brain, on our performance. We know that gut is linked to brain, so food becomes a very important habit to develop to help us in performing better. So I liked what Rania was saying earlier. How do you help yourself into drinking or eating healthy? Is by creating a process which is easy. You have to make it super easy for yourself. Instead of having the chocolates, even in the office, we don't have now the machines with the chocolates close to the coffee machine. We have them at the back of the office. But what we have are the fruits very close. Apply the same technique home. So I don't have the basket with biscuits and chocolates at the kitchen top, but I have a plate with fruits, and the chocolate and the biscuits are in a cupboard somewhere behind, in the closure. So I need to open the door. I need to go to that bucket. I need to open it, and then I need to have a biscuit. But I have the fruits ready available. So more often than not, I will grab a fruit.
Yes. That's
That's
quite
right.
interesting.
That's
I
right.
have the opposite at work. We're always presented with a lot of biscuits and chocolates and everything, and we're
So maybe you can
presented.
propose the fruits now.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely. I actually did propose. I was like, let's have fruit salad at the office, please.
Yeah, that's a good one. And the last one I would say for office, and then I'm sure Rania will help me complete on that. I like walking meetings. I discovered that walking meetings are really more productive than sitting meetings in the office. It serves again more purposes than just having the possibility to connect in another environment. Um, Rania was touching a little bit on how the brain functions earlier, and there is a lot of science there, neuroscience there, proving that when you do an activity in a different context, and you don't necessarily, actively think or stress yourself for a decision or for a solution. So if you go for a walk and you discuss that same situation, your brain suddenly works different and makes connections in a different way, and possibly you will find solution quicker. And does work really having a walking meeting instead of, might not be always possible, but when possible to have a walking meeting, I would really, highly suggest that. Try it.
That's very,
Interesting.
yeah. Thank you so much. And we actually do in my company stand up meetings, and the good thing it's on daily basis. So I can relate to what you mean. It's very, yeah, impactful in a good way. I have another question, or it's the same question, but within a different context to Rania. Since we both are marketers, so we know and understand the stress that we go through on daily basis, and how demanding the clients are all the time, and how they keep asking you 24/7 about things, requests, and the teams are always, stressed about that. Maybe you can share with us as a business owner as well, what are the positive habits you implement in your workplace, to prevent energy drainage and how people get drained so fast at work.
Yeah, Hussein, I have some. I have quite, I developed them over time. So one thing is what Ralu just said, to change the place. So I have an office at home, and it's a room, big room, everything's there, but just working in the home every day was not working for me. I mean, it just draining your energy. So I rented an office outside. I go to the office like 3 days a week, and I stay in my home like 2 days a week. I work from different places, and even in the office, I do not sit in the office. There is a shared area. I go to it. There is a place where I can sit in the outdoors. I sometimes meet my clients outdoors. So changing places. Really works for me, really, like what Ralu said. Also for me, making a huge difference between work and life, because what you do sometimes at home, if you're working from home, you just keep wearing your home clothes and you work, right? But for me, I decided no. When I wake up in the morning, I take the morning shower, I put my clothes, even if I'm staying at home. This changes a lot. So I make a big difference between work and life. And when I close work, I close work. I mean, I decided at the beginning, because I wanted to build my clientele base, I used to take phone calls in the weekends, after hours. But now I tell my clients I work from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, and this is my working hours. So just setting boundaries. What worked for me also is the accountability partner. Um, yes, I am the sole owner of the company, but I have an accountability partner. We keep checking with each other. And if you're working in a corporate or a big place, I recommend that you found an accountability partner in your workplace. Number one, it would help you bond with someone in the company. So you will have this kind of close friendship relationship with someone in the company. So this will help you, because when you work with friends, different than you work with just strangers or office mates. So
Mhm.
that's number one. Number two, you will find someone to report to and they report to you. They will find someone to motivate and they will motivate you back. So accountability partnership worked for me big time. So now I am on track, because I know that every week I'm going to meet my accountability partner for 30 minutes, and I'm going to tell her what I did, and she's going to tell me what she did. So that worked for me big, big, big time. So if you can find an accountability partner, you should do it. It really worked.
That's very insightful. And I really like the last part about the accountability partner. I believe a lot of people, and maybe that's for me a negative. It's not that much of a habit, but I believe it's a habit. It's the habit of not wanting to engage with anyone within the company. If you're the top manager, you always want people to see you as the boss who doesn't want to implement anything except through them. They want to always be the aggressive kind of person, and it's always like, I'm gonna do
Mm.
this, I'm gonna do that, and it shows a bit of a lack of trust between the employees and the business owners, which for me personally, it creates it happened to me once, unfortunately, before. It creates a habit of not wanting to do some of the work because I feel that I'm not appreciated, or I'm not part of the organization. So I
Mm.
think the part of the partner is really, really essential, especially in today's how do you say, digital world.
Mm.
um, and maybe this brings me to a very interesting point that we always find problems and challengings when we change from a positive habit, when we change from a negative habit to a positive one. Maybe Rania, you can continue, since it relates to what you just said earlier. How can I face and overcome a challenge of having a negative habit or a bad habit and change it into a positive one? How can I overcome that in general?
Okay, there are two things here. Number one, like we said about the neuroplasticity of our brain, that our brain keeps, when you do things consistently, it like a path is created in your brain, and this is a habit. So one of the challenges is that bad habits do not go away. Your brain never let go of the old path. The brain creates a new path for the good habits. So sometimes we fall back and we go back to the old habits. This is a big challenge because it's just there. So you need, like I said, accountability partner, or you need self motivation to keep doing the good, a consistency that I will keep doing the good habit over and over again. And the more I do it, the path becomes stronger and deeper. And the bad habit, when I stop doing it, the path becomes narrower and shallower. So while I will not lose the bad habits, the path in my brain for the bad habit, it becomes weaker by time. So just keep doing what you're doing. Find an accountability partner. Keep pushing yourself. Keep being conscious about it every now and then, and check your habits every now and then, and see, oh, I fell back to my old habits. Now I have to change it back. And doing it for the second time is easier than doing it for the first time. Like changing the bad to good, it gets easier by time. So that's
Mm.
one. Number two about the habits is that sometimes we want to change yeah, I mean, I'm not good with time, for instance, and I want to change it to become very efficient with time. So when I look
Mhm.
at it, it's huge. This is a huge task. I cannot do it. But what you do with habits is that you start with very little thing. Like for me, working from home needs a lot of self-discipline, and Ralu and you, Hussein, you should, I mean, you know about that. It needs a lot of self-discipline and a lot of time management in order to be able to work from home. So what I did is that one of the habits that I created is just to write down on a to-do list at night before, when I close my business day, before I just write what I have to do in the next day. Just take few seconds, write them down. So in the
Mhm.
next day, I know that I have a big task. I will start with the big task. And I found that I found that there is something called the 91 rule. The 91 rule is that you do the first one on your to do list, the most important thing on your to do list, in the first 90 minutes of your day. So the 91 rule worked for me because now I know what I have to do and I can prioritize my tasks. So I start with the very important task in the first 90 minutes. This was only thing that I did. And then by time my efficiency increased, I became more productive. I pushed all the time wasters to the end of the day. So I do not check my email in the morning. I do not. I sometimes I just skim through the email list to see if there's something time sensitive, and that's it. But I do not respond to emails until the end of the day. I do not pay my bills until the end of the day, because usually in the morning I used to, in the old days, I used to check my emails, pay my bills, do some phone calls, and now these are done in my downtime, when I'm tired, when I'm like exhausted and I do some mechanical work. This is when I do those. So by writing down the tasks, now I became more productive. I did the 91 rule. I tackle the big tasks first, and then the ball started rolling, and one good habit lead to the other good habit. So start small, and then big things will happen.
And start with what matters first.
Yes, and what my
um,
91 rule.
yes. Ralu, you said something earlier about you moving from one country to another multiple times in the past few years, and how challenging was that to you? And if you'd like to share with us, how challenging was it for you in the beginning to change your habits multiple times? I'm not going to just say once. And given that you're getting exposed to different cultures, and each culture has its own set of habits that may actually reject the habits that you're applying in the other country, maybe. So, can you share with us what are the key challenges that you faced, and how did you actually eventually overcome them?
Yeah, I think there are some habits that we'll always need and we have as humans, because wherever we go, we have some needs as humans
Mhm.
for, safety, for feeling good, for so the basic habits. I think we can somehow reapply, maybe a bit tweaked, but we reapply. Then probably the habits that are more individual to us, like, I don't know, the sports we are doing, or the clubs we are joining, or the way we behave at work, that changes from culture to culture, now how we build relationships. Those were habits that I really needed to readjust and
Mhm.
reevaluate every time. Um, it started for me with, of course, when your context changes, you can't always keep the habits. let
Yes.
alone, you can't keep friendships, let alone habits. So to take one that it is probably easier to lose, linked to sports. Now, when you move from one country to the other, I don't know, in one country I was doing running, in another country maybe I was doing swimming, and that was difficult to continue at the beginning when I moved. So I needed to reintegrate, and I lost these habits for a good period every time I moved into a new country. It was difficult to restart it. And the process I went through, I realized without, it was not conscious for me, that process. I realized it now with my last move, that every time I went through that process, the process I went through was identifying why it was good for me. And
Mm.
if it was good for me, why I was not doing. And every time, because I was moving country, was a challenge, as you're saying. I didn't have a team. I didn't know where to go. The list was long for what not. For what not, my list was, the bucket was really long. For why was good, the motivation list, there were some things in there, but the minus list was far longer. So what I needed to do in order to push myself was to look into the story in my head. And I go back to, what we were discussing earlier is we tell ourselves stories on why we do things and why things are good for us. And when we change, I liked Rania's example at the very beginning with the time she spends uh, for cooking for the family. Once we change the story in our head and what does it mean to us, suddenly the challenges we are having get a different dimension
Mm.
because they become smaller. And I call that reframing. So it is we think about something and it is really big, and the negative story is really big, and then we need to reframe that. Imagine, like a picture. It is big and there on the wall for us. And if it is not good for us, it is a big challenge for us. We need to change that picture, to make it small, to put it in the other corner, and put instead of that picture a bigger one, a new story that serves us better. And that's how we translate challenges in support stories. And that's what I've done practically every time. I needed every time to start from zero and to look, okay, why do I consider this a challenge? Where would I arrive if this keeps on being a challenge for me? Will I ever, get the positive sides out of it? No. And I didn't always have the motivation, I have to say. We put a lot of emphasis on motivation. I didn't always have the motivation to do it.
Mm.
Very often, I push myself. We were talking earlier, and Rania was saying, start very small. Because once you start small and you've done it, celebrate it. Don't forget to celebrate it. Because what that does releases dopamine. And dopamine makes you happier, makes you satisfied. It increases your self-confidence. And then you'll do it again. So start
Mm.
small, add up to it and look to the stories you are telling yourself and why you are not doing it. That was for me the process. And at the end, I arrived to do things, not the same things, but for the same purpose, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And I want to add up to that as well. It's something someone taught me a few years back when I was in college. He told me whenever you approach something in life and it's challenging for you, or you don't know if it's a good or bad thing, always do something called the pros and cons approach. If you're doing a habit and you don't know if it's good or not, if it's because we're not always certain if it's a good habit or a bad habit. Sometimes we just want to do it because someone told us, but we don't know if it's good or not, if it's going to actually help us or not. They told me list everything that's positive that will come out of this habit and list everything that is negative. If the positive is more than the negative or is more critical, if you say, because one negative can overcome all the good things. But if it's more critically positive or more critically better to do it, then just do it. Don't just always challenge yourself and don't always just see what's bad out of the picture. Maybe the good will overcome. And this will probably take me to a very interesting point that in the past 3 years, as Ralu said, everything related to not just work, life changed. How we eat every day because of COVID, how we take care of our
Mm.
health, how we work from home. Um, everything. So this takes me to a very interesting question. Since the entire world is moving in a very, very fast pace towards psychology, towards digitalization of work, towards everything that is related to our mental health, Ralu, if you can tell us, what is the thing you'd like to see in a world of positive psychology, maybe in the few years to come?
Wow, it's such a big question. I would like to see more integrated fields. What do I mean with this, with more integrated fields? I mean, positive psychology brings incredible tools to our lives. Really good. We spoke in this interview about a bit about neuroscience, a bit about how our brain works. Then we spoke about the well-being, the mental health. So we maybe risk to become too generalists, but I think we
Mm,
also have a need to understand more on how we function and to become sufficient. So I'm very much in favor of joining the dots. So I would like to see the sciences, working back more together, maybe. And what we see now in positive psychology, the link with the neuroscience. I know Rania is also trained in neurolinguistic programming, so in NLP. All these tools coming together, they are super powerful. Now, we can only use them when we all understand the power of that on ourselves and
mm,
how we apply it. So it is for me connecting the dots because I think we are living in a world which gives us so much information. The only question for me is how do we apply it and how we use it to our best? You were saying very well earlier was to take the best out of ourselves and to protect our mental and physical health.
Mm.
mm, definitely. That's very powerful. Thank you so much. Rania, what about you? Like, what is the thing you really like think the world needs in positive psychology, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years?
I totally agree with Ralu. Definitely, we need to connect the dots. And also, I think that positive psychology is going to thrive and people will use it more and more because, as a life coach and as a professional development coach, I use positive psychology tools with all my clients. Like, positive psychology has the PERMA model, this model of happiness and to bring you happiness, habits, how to change habits, resilience. So there are a lot of tools within positive psychology that will affect us in this world with all the stressors that we have in life. We need something to help us to become happier and more relaxed and more productive in a good way, not like pushing us to the edge. So we need the positive psychology, and I think that a lot of people are going to study it. I think a lot of studies will be done, articles. I see positive psychology is the way, especially in coaching, is the way to be used and applied. So yeah, I think positive psychology is having a thriving future. It serves humanity in different levels.
Wow. Yeah, I
Mhm.
totally agree because, and I see a lot of companies nowadays actually are applying different methodologies in positive psychology and different tools to make sure that their employees are happy, they're satisfied with the work experience they're having. I agree
There
with
is
both of you.
even there's even happiness coaches are now used in the companies. They bring some
Yes.
coaches to help the teams become happy. So
Mm.
yeah, the future is going towards positive psychology.
Definitely. I agree with what you said. It could have never been said any better. Thank you so much, Ralu and Rania. As much as I'm very sad that a big portion of the session has been done, but I'm very excited that we still have some questions to answer because we received a couple of questions here. And let me start by sharing one of them with everyone, and maybe we get a chance to answer it. Riham Mikki from Facebook is telling us that fear of change is usually something that may stop us from changing from one habit to another. How do we get rid of this fear of change? That's a very, very interesting question. If
Mm.
Ralu can kick us off with an answer for that.
Yeah, thank you, Rahim. I think it is a fantastic question because we always have fear of change when we are faced with the unknown. It is
Yes.
normal, it is human, it is our brain functioning well. So don't eliminate that. That it is a sign that your brain is functioning well. How can you deal with it? My first suggestion will be start small. Have an aim, have a vision of where you might want and how big the change you want to have. Don't aim to go there, because if you aim to go there from zero, your brain, your amygdala, will just suffocate
Mhm.
the rest of your brain because the fear will be so big. No baby starts running or going to marathon. They, stand up first. They don't even walk. They stand up. So start really, really small,
Mm.
and start with something that it can be so fearful. So if it does work well, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't um, give nutrition to your amygdala, to your fear. It doesn't work. That's
Mm.
fine. So
It's
you
not the end
don't
of the world.
exactly. And
Yes.
if it worked well, then you have a coin of success to celebrate that will motivate you to try a little bit more. Stand up
Mm.
again, but stay for longer. That's what babies are doing. No, they don't immediately run. They stand up again and they look around and they are happy. Wow, now they could say 30 seconds. So it's about, again, small, try it, and you'll arrive there. I think we
Mm.
live in a world, it is go big or go home. And we've been, nurtured to this. If you are not successful immediately, if you didn't do it big immediately, then you are not good. That's
Yes.
not correct. That's absolutely wrong. So start small and you'll arrive big.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Rehan, for your question and Radu for your input. Rani, what do you think? Um,
Uh, I will tell Reham two things here. Number one, check the reason or the intention. Why do you want to change a habit? You want to change a habit because you don't like it. It's not serving you. There is pain with the old habit. So you want to change it to become happy. So the fear will not exist. If you know the reason, I want to change this habit, is not serving me. My health is affected. My relationship is affected. I'm not doing well with the old habit, then there is no fear. On the contrary, you will want to change the habit. You will put the effort because I want to become better. So check the intention and check the reason why do you want to change a habit. Number two, we work in life between pain and happiness. So what drive you pain, you want to stay away from it, and when give you pleasure or happiness, you want to go towards it. So you can do it mentally, that the old habit, let's say, okay, the old, if you connect the old habit with fear, I'm sorry, the old habit with pain, you will want to stay away from it. And if you connect the good habit with pleasure, you will want to go towards it. So let's say you eat a lot of chocolate or had bad habits in eating. Instead of saying, oh, I love chocolate, it's melting in my mouth and like it, now change the mindset and look at the bad thing that is doing to your body. So my cholesterol level is high, the sugar level is high, I may be pre-diabetic because of chocolate, I'm gaining weight, my muscles are aching. So now I connected pain to chocolate. And
mm.
then when I eat healthy, I will lose weight, I will look nice, I will look younger, maybe sexier, I can buy clothes, I can go out with my friend. I mean, so connect pleasure to the new habit. So by
Mm.
time you will go away from the old habit that causing you pain, and you will go towards the good habit that will give you pleasure, and then the fear is gone. There is no fear. On the contrary, I want to do the good habit. So that's my two
That
cents.
that was two very nice inputs, and if you allow me, I'd like to add a third one, because I remember this, and this is why this question touched a very, very strong point. And this is one of the few things you remember from when you were a kid. I was entering an exam at school once, and the teacher looked at us. I remember this. I will never forget it. I think it was sixth grade or something. And we were telling the teacher that actually it's not even the teacher. I remember it was one of our friends. We told him like, you don't look scared as much as we do, or worried about the exam. We're all afraid. It was a very, very, I think it was science or something. Why are you not scared or afraid as much as we are? He told me something very powerful, and I'm really inspired that a kid can say that at that age. He told us that fear is fruitful if you can control it within a level. So let it be something that pushes you to the better, but don't let it overcome you to a level that makes you fail. So it's
Very
like
good.
fear is essential, but to push you forward, not to hinder you back or to make you fail in the exam. And I actually, until this day, maybe it has been 17, 18 years since then, I still take this piece of feedback. Whenever I'm afraid, I was like, okay, I'm afraid because I'm anxious. I want to do this, but let me take that and do better. And this is why I love both questions. They took the issue and they took it from two different perspectives, and they both work because I've tried both of them. Um, so thank you so much for that. Now moving to the rest. Actually, I love that there are so many comments that are very thankful to both of you, Rania and Ralu. They are saying that even Reham just replied that she'll definitely read more about the topic and what you guys mentioned in the answer to the question. And this takes me to our final, destination in this session, which is your messages. I'm sure everyone would love to hear about what you guys have to tell them or the message you want to leave them with during this session. So, why don't we kick it off with Rania? What is the message you want to leave our viewers with, or the final message you want to leave our viewers with?
I want to tell them that your brain is so powerful and you are so powerful. You are an amazing creature. You have all what it takes to make your life successful and happy. So trust in yourself. If I can do it, you can do it. If anyone in the world can do it, you can do it too. So you are equipped with all what you need to succeed. Just believe in yourself. Take the first step and be consistent, just do it day in and day out, every day, and then you will reach your goal. I know maybe the goal seems so far today, but it will come closer and closer, even and it will happen faster than you can imagine. So believe in yourself, just start, be consistent, and celebrate. Like Hussein said at the beginning, celebrate. Give yourself a pat in the back. Yes, you deserve. I mean, you did something. You lost half pound. That's good. At least you're losing weight. You did something good today. Celebrate. You deserve it. So you're an amazing person.
Thank you so much for that amazing message. Ralu, what is your final message for our audience today?
Following from Rania, thank you for your message. It's really, really, really inspiring. Hard to follow from you, but I will only want to complete one thing to what you say, maybe to add, is you say, we are all amazing and we have the resources. We need to trust ourselves, and that it is very, very powerful. One thing I would like to add to that, we are also all very different. And in our differences is our power. To what Rania said, please take all what she said in, because it is super valuable. I would also like to add, don't compare yourself with the others.
Mhm.
Don't
Yes.
look to what others are doing and compare your success to the other success. Please don't do it. I'm guilty of that for a long time, and it is hard to undo it. Think, and I will repeat what Rania said if I can remember it all, that you have your resources, that you are really powerful. Decide what you want to do it and do it consistently. Celebrate your successes and only compare yourself with yourself from yesterday. Do not compare yourself with the others, because when you start doing that, you diminish your power, and you only want to increase your power for everything you do every day. So go out there and implement the habits that will move you from point A to point B. And do not forget, your habits are not forever. Your habits are only there to serve at the moment for what you want to achieve. And it is okay to reshape them, restructure them, do new habits that are, it is easy to say don't be afraid of change, but I would say embrace change and fear, as Hussein was saying, as long as it doesn't stop you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ralu. Thank you so much, Rania. I think you guys impacted all of us, even myself. And probably obvious because I feel happier and more confident after those, short 60 minutes. And with that, we come to the end of this panel. I'd really like to thank you to Ralu Nistor-Lustermans and Rania Sultan. Amazing session. It was very enjoyable and beneficial. And I'm surely it will help everyone from our audiences all over the world. To our viewers, I want to thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow our guests on their bio links. You will find them in the panel flyers and on the channel of Food for Thought on YouTube. And if you guys have any questions, even after the end of the session, make sure to just type them in the comments and we will get back to you with everything. Thank you so much. Stay happy, and we'll see you in the next session. See you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.
Thank you, Ralu. I learned a lot from you today. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you,
Same
Hussein,
here.
of
It
course.
was a wonderful conversation, both of you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Yeah.
much.
Bye.